we are in a panel where you will get a chance to talk with people who disagree with you. This is lots of really powerful and really insightful comments from multiple perspectives, and now we have a chance to hear questions from the audience.
Is there a microphone?
Coming.
My question. This is on. My question is for Milo. I'm sorry I missed some of your presentation, so I hope I'm not asking about something you already said. My organization, I'm Elaine Zuckerman of Gender Action. My organization, Gender Action, worked together with Haiti Kalaije. We worked together last year up in Caracol. My colleague Claire worked with Fallon Conte, and one of your other colleagues, I can't remember her name. At the time, we found that then, 4 years after the earthquake, that people who were displaced, who you just spoke about, people who were displaced by forced eviction in Caracol, had not yet received the promised compensation, including housing. Have you continued to follow that at Haiti Grassroots Watch, and have you found that these displaced people have received their housing and other promised compensation? I've been trying to get in touch with Fallon to get an answer, and so I'm so glad you're here. Thanks.
Okay. Another question? And, I forgot to remind folks, please do mention your name and your agency. Thank you.
I can actually answer that question because I'm responsible for the compensation at Caracol. I'm France from IDB. The majority of the compensation has been completed. Everyone who had been promised cash compensation has received their cash compensation. The people who had chosen land vouchers have received the land vouchers, and I'm in the process of providing them technical assistance to be able to plow that land and work that land. The people, about 10 people, had chosen the option of ONA, which is the pension plan. That pension plan is now underway, so they've started their pensioning. These are people who are over 75. And then the final option, which is housing, at an IDB housing site, has been severely delayed because IDB never built the houses. And so I am in the process now of discussing with them alternatives to housing. The people who chose housing already have homes, but chose the housing as rental income. So we're in the process now of discussing with them alternatives. Some of them want to build their own homes. Some of them prefer cash. Some of them, one person wants money to buy a taxi so he can have his own taxi service. So for them, the house was going to be a source of income, not a place to live. So we're looking for alternative sources of income for them.
Thanks. I still would like to hear from you if you have any further information from the field.
Traduction.
Toujours valable question, même s'il y a une réponse.
Ok. Par rapport avec question,
Okay, in relation to the question regarding Caracol, one of the biggest criticisms that we had, it is why they started a project, that kind of project, in an area that was not affected by the earthquake. The other thing that we've noticed also, a housing project that focus on housing for labor. It's like the money for housing is benefiting factories, manufacturing companies. The other thing that's important also, it is those same houses that they had for the people in Caracol. Based on the last report by USAID, they noticed that these houses have a lot of problems. These houses were poorly built to the point where they're going to have to spend a lot of money to fix them, to repair them. That shows you the complexity that you have The other thing that we've noticed also is the inefficiency of the industrial park. They spend a lot of money for this park, but how much work has been created? I think that they promised that 20,000, there would be 20,000 jobs, if not more. But right now, I don't remember. I think it's a very low the number of people who have actually found jobs. Well, it is an industrial park that is inefficient, that is wasting money.
We have another question?
Hi, I'm Hasi from World Vision, and I have two questions. One is specifically for Milo. What are the most critical, complementary services in terms of, be it health or economic development, to get people productively occupied again? What would you say they are? And the second question that I have is for everyone. What are some lessons learned in terms of providing short-term emergency shelter? And that could be materials or structures or relevant community organizations, yeah. So what would you say, what some of the lessons learned are? Thank you.
If you could quickly repeat your first question.
Sure, yes. What are some critical, services, complementary services to get people occupied again? Does that make sense?
Okay.
So there was a question for, let's take two more questions and then we'll have the panel respond. We have a question here and we have a commentary there.
Oui, bonsoir. Et question pour M. Pou.
My question is for
Professeur Jean Reno.
Professor Jean Reno.
Oui, ou te mentionné, non pas c'est Mariana Vasquez.
Yeah, my name is Mariana Varquez. I work for Coordinate in Haiti. And my question is, you mentioned housing cooperative. I'd like for you to elaborate a little bit more, because that would be interesting to see how people who organize, when they put themselves together and they work together, and they can perhaps they can come up with projects together and work together with you for better housing. So if you were working on that, already on that project, that would be very interesting to know how you're doing it. And thank you very much. It's just two comments I'd like to make. One is on the issue of land in Haiti. I think it's a fundamental problem. And I don't know if the statistics have gotten better, but I know it's only 1% of the land or 5% of the land that is legally, we can say exactly this is the real owner, the rightful owner of that property. Now, if we don't resolve this issue of registry, this is going to be a fundamental problem in terms of reconstruction in Haiti. The second issue is the model in the system, in the building free zones. We cannot deal with a country with agricultural vocation and the little space that we have left. Instead of discouraging people from building on you're building on the free zones on agricultural land. I think it's an approach that needs to be revised, both on the side of the international institution and also I don't know if the international and also the Haitian government, because it's the Haitian government that has to ask exactly what it needs and define its priorities. Because in the issue, when it comes to this issue of free zones, it's not doing anything than reproduce the same system. And then the no shanty towns are going to be built because as you said already, Milo, look at the peripheral areas, the areas where people find jobs, that's where they start building shanty towns. If you look at Caracol, you're going to find the same thing again because people are looking for places to live, so you're going to have shanty towns. So they have to rethink of the way they do these things. the answers of the panelists now. I'd like to have an intervention to let you know that this is such an interesting debate in the context that people have to understand. Like I said earlier, you cannot discuss the issue of housing if you don't think of it in global terms. Because the housing problem is not going to be resolved if you don't resolve the problem of education, if you don't resolve the issue of jobs, employment. The legal issues need to be resolved. Environmental issues need to be involved. If you don't resolve the issues of risk also. This is why we have to have a multidimensional approach. You cannot just look at the houses of four walls, because what we've noticed in Haiti is that the Haitian population has a capacity to build first. It's the population that builds, not really the state that builds for them. We cannot look at it in short term, in 2 years, 3 years. It is now that we have to create the infrastructure, the legal structure, so they can make it possible to have decent housing in Haiti. You cannot just count on government on the state because the issue of housing. Because first of all, it's a political issue. The government is at the heart of all any decision that's been taken. They also have to be accompanied by other partners. The partners are the ones with it's the private sector. They are the ones who have the money. And in Haiti, people are not going to invest if they're not sure that they're not going to make profit. Because the economic model that we have is a capitalist model, and those who have money think first about the profit. So everybody is looking for profit. I'm not going to ask question if it's good or if it's not good. That's not the discussion. But it is a reality that indeed anybody who wants who wants to invest, even in housing, is looking first for its profit. They want to have some kind of guarantee that all sectors of population have access to housing. So we have to create a kind of structure so that the private sector can invest in housing. As we said earlier, we don't have any housing institution in Haiti. What we have right now is not sufficient. It is one of the countries that have never had a Ministry of Housing or a Ministry for Urbanization. We don't have yet institutions to accompany the strategic decisions and tactical decisions to support so we can have better housing. Because please remember that you have to first give people jobs. Well, even though people don't have jobs, you see that they're still building houses. It's poor building. But we have a very simple example. For instance, Canaan. Haitians spent more than $100 million US dollars in a place. Imagine that they anticipated that. They had all the infrastructure so they can do better housing. You wouldn't have that kind of answer of response. It was what I was saying earlier. As time went on, the government has lost its has been weakened. And who needs housing? It's a citizenship. You have to pay taxes, and for you to pay taxes, you have to work. So we are in a vicious cycle. There is no income. There is no tax. So the government cannot really intervene. Yet you can have the best law on urbanization. If you don't have the wherewithal or institutions to make sure that those laws are respected, or people abide by those, it's like you're wasting them. It's not even worth it to think about all those issues unless you create the means of control. That's what, and indeed, that's why we never had that in Haiti. Government never had the capacity to have people respect the law. We have the best laws that exist, but we don't have the wherewithal to have people respect those. Everybody is trying to make his own money. Even the wealthy is living informally. He's not trying to do things the right way. The poor and the rich is all doing the same thing. Even those who live the informal sector. We know that some people own in the shanty towns for 100, 150, 200 houses. You have to realize that there is a whole system that is in place. That's why I say everybody has their own strategy. What the issue is that we have individual strategy. We need a strategy that is global. The role of government is to think in the future to see how they can create things better in a more global context. That's exactly what the government is trying to do now. The state is trying to do now. This is why we're articulating all those elements in a way that we can favor the economic development and social development of the country. You don't do one without the other. You have to do them both. You cannot resolve the if you don't put into place train people. In Haiti, at the university, how many are Urbanist or formal? This is what shows that government never had a perspective, plan. Never tried to think in terms of planning. Is why people, when they start working, they are not too sure about that they're going to keep their job. But the first thing they do is try to find a piece of land so they can begin to build their houses. Why? Because they know that if they lose their job, they are going to find a place to live, and they're going to have a housing, whether or not they have a job, especially when they get older. There is also the kinds of construction that you have in Haiti, the kind of building that we have. Then there are some programs that we're trying to come up with right now in Haiti. So you don't have, we don't put just a little piece of land. We are putting all that they need in terms of infrastructure, human and otherwise, so they can get better product. What we're trying to do also is restructure informal neighborhoods also. There's a lot of ideas also. There are a lot of people who think that when you have a shanty town, you have to destroy it. Where in fact shanty town is a kind of urban expression. There are families that have a whole history in a shanty town. That's why they educate their children. They send them to university. I can give you one example. For example, the case of Jalousie. Sometimes you're going to see a lot of young professionals who are coming from Jalousie. They're going to banks in Haiti. They're waiting for buses, transportation. Why? They live in shanty towns. Why? Because there's no decent housing in Fassavour in Port-au-Prince. There are promoters. They focus. They look for their niche market. They say they're going to rent their houses for $2,000. It is not for the middle class. It is. They're always targeting a certain population, a certain market. The state has to have investment for the masses, but to have the investment, you have to have access to the funds to the men. But the funds that you get from government, from others, never help resolve the issue of housing. It always has to come with private sector as well. The question that he asked was on issue of housing cooperative. There, I think that I'm going to disagree a bit with my colleague on the issue of individualism. It is true in the city. There is a lot people of very individual. There is a great tradition of. There is indeed when you come to Port-au-Prince, people are much more individualistic in Port-au-Prince, but we also are trying to work on that. We're trying to work, especially since you can see that in the construction area. There is in Silo, by Delma 75. I have a student who did his thesis on that, because these people want to build their houses. They even told you that they didn't have the means to do it, since they have access to money, to the bank, to the formal sector. So they worked their way So what they did, they called it Sol. What they do is that they save up a little bit of money, they give it to that person to buy cement, for instance. So all those things we're trying to recuperate, we're trying to recoup them. So this is the kind of work we're calling. When I will come to housing cooperative. But of course, for that to happen, there are certain things that are also needed. Because we can say that what we have right now in the legal context, it doesn't make it the work. This is why in the faculty of university we have a program economy, social solidarity, economics or social solidarity. The first we did was with people from Cabaret. We had them think about the production of plantain. Some of them say that they're interested in housing. So the second discussion we're going to do it on housing. In Tigua, some people are interested in production of sweeteners. We call Dusmacos. And we're going to work with them in particular based on what they're trying to produce. So every time we're doing these kind of workshops, we don't do it just we're training those people on this particular issue. We always need a cooperative also that springs up. We call it a program that will allow people for the students, university students, to get involved and to better understand the community. We get them implicated in the community, and so it goes both ways. They work with the community, and also after that they work in the workshop. And during the workshop, the seminar, they have we have what we call simulation. It's like all of us were sitting here. We're part of a housing we have different steps. The first step is we invite people so they can come to the cooperative. The second phase is have a constitutional assembly, and then we're gonna have a different moment where we have a general assembly, yearly. So we have 3 to 4 movements that we are going to privilege. So we're going to work on, so we can help. Add some sense to build the houses of Bet Haiti. When we're going to do them, we don't do them. We're going. For instance, if we're doing in Cabaret, if we're working on Cabaret, we'll go to Cabaret with the students. If we're going to Petit Gouave, we'll go with the students in particular. It is not just to work with it is a program. It's a program so the students who are getting trained so they can work on and with the reality, not just read or come up with ideas that are abstract, but work in the concrete with them. So they have that way they can also learn from those people. This is something that we're starting to build. We're going to start our second tour. I'd like to remind you that if you're empty, you cannot stand up. Everybody needs food now. Also, when it comes to the last question that you asked, we still believe that resolving the issue, the housing issue, they have to have the political will. We think that 5 years after the earthquake, there is the need that we have a Ministry of Housing in the country, at least that's regulating those 3 entities, the CLDP, FAIS, and PPLS. And also we think that we have to constitute a fund, some fund, for social housing. If there really is a political will, they can do that. For instance, the program for free school in Haiti, there was no money for it, but they made it possible. So really there has to be the political will that is works in concert with social housing, so they can have the funds in Haiti. And for the different actors who are working on the housing issue, so they can work under the responsibility of the state. Because one of the things that I've noticed as a lesson learned, it is the weakness of the state. The state was really inexistent, non-existent, to the point where we realized there was a laissez-faire. People did whatever they want. The NGOs came, they had their shelter, and then they left. They didn't care about what happened after. So, which is why we think that it's important, there's a necessity to reinforce the state. So, if tomorrow there is a similar catastrophe, we don't have to deal with this issue the same way.
Important questions and a really interesting dialogue. Now's our time to have lunch. I believe